Welcome to another exciting episode of the Farm with Us, where we get to answer all your questions right here at our farms. Mia Local Poultry Farm, again and again, welcomes you back to that long break. We've been away from this YouTube channel. We've taken a lot of time. Like I told you, something new, something nice, something developmental is coming up any time. Like I told you, me a Local Poultry Farm uh, on 0705 Okay, for those of you who are in Uganda, please don't forget to add the +256. +256 is the Uganda country code. Okay, +256 705 just dial that number if you need me a Local Poultry Farm. Call that number if you need one-day old chicks, if you need fertilized eggs, anything to do with the local chicken farm training, whatever you need, anything to do with local poultry. We are there to guide you. We are there to train you and provide you with everything that you need. Mia Local Poultry Farm, as usual, located along Fort Potro Road, Rivale Trading Center. Okay, that is Chenjojo District. So for all of you who are taking that road, I think you have seen our signposts. You have seen our you have seen everything. Okay, when it gets to Rivale Trading Center, just before you enter Matiri Forest, you will see Mia Local Poultry Farm signposts and everything to do with the Mia Local Poultry Farm, the shops, everything. Now, Mia Local Poultry Farm, why are we here today? Okay, like I told you, this one question has been coming up always and always on our channel. Now, what is this question? Many of you need to know how much money or how many birds can you start up with. Okay, I always tell you that if you want to do it at a commercial scale, you need to start with at least some sizable number of birds. But by this, what do I mean? I don't want you guys to go and get the number of birds that you yourselves cannot manage. Okay, it's going to be very, very bad when you get the number of birds, okay, that you cannot keep until the end of the month. I mean, until the end of 6 months, and then you start selling them during the fourth month. Okay, it's not going to be good, because like we told you, when you're doing local poultry, this is a long-term business. By long-term business, what do I mean? By long-term business, I simply mean that these birds are not like broilers, where you are going to sell them after, let's say, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. No. When you're doing local poultry, okay, you are not selling, your main aim is not to sell these birds for meat or for eating. Yes, but they can be eaten. You can sell them for eating. But the amount of money that you'd have invested in these birds, if you decide to sell them off to the market for eating, then you are going to make a loss. I repeat this. If you rear your birds and at about 5-6 months you're like, okay, let me take them to the market and sell them off for eating because they cannot afford feeding, this, that, and that, then you are totally going to make a loss. What do I mean by this? I'll just give you an example. Okay, I'm not trying to scare you, but I told you, remember I told you, when you come to me a Local Poultry Farm for farm training or for any other kind of training, anything to do with the local poultry, we give you the figures that you are going to incur. Okay, I'll give you an example. I always tell you that it's good to start with about 500 birds. Now, let's get a calculation for the 500 birds. We are not going to use a calculator. Let's just pick a random figure of 500 birds very fast. Now, if you're doing 500 birds, now when these birds reach about 2.5 to 3 months, we call them adult birds. Okay, now for the adult birds, I told you we feed them 120 grams per bird. What does this mean? This means for every 10 birds, we are going to feed them 1.2 kilograms. Okay? For every 10 birds that are mature, now by mature we are talking of 3 months, you are going to feed them 1.2 kilograms. Now let's assume you have 500 birds in your chicken house. Now if you have 500 birds and each one is eating 120 grams, that means for every 10 birds they are eating 1.2 kilograms. How many kilograms are you going to need to feed 500 birds? Okay, you're going to need about 160 kilograms to feed all the 500 birds in one day. Okay, I want you to listen very carefully. Now when you multiply, let's say like right now there is no maize, or you didn't plant your maize and you are relying on buying all the feeds, the concentrate, the broken, the bran, things to do with the I told you need to add in like a big pig or sometimes meat booster, then add in lime or calcium and what have you, poultry care and everything. Now you're going to come up with a kilo of the mixed feeds at around 1,600, 1,700 shillings. Now let's take the lowest, even if it's 1,600 shillings, and you need 60 kilograms to feed these birds every day. Okay, now when you multiply the 1,600 shillings times 60, you're going to come up with about, I think, about 980,000 shillings. Okay, now that's close to 100,000 shillings. Guys, if you are spending 100,000 shillings each and every day only on feeding these 500 birds, that means that you're going to need close to 3 million to feed these birds. Now, if you're doing 500 birds, you may not be able to handle them alone. Maybe you'll need one worker to help you when you're not there, or even when you're there, because you have a lot of drinkers, you have a lot of feeds to put in, you have a lot of things to do, vaccination and everything. Now, if you're paying a worker, that means even if you're paying the worker about, let's say, 150,000 shillings, then add in the other cost of the vaccination, the simple treatments, both the preventive and the actual treatment. Let's say you're going to need about 50,000 shillings each and every month. Now, when you add the 50,000 shillings to the 150,000 shillings you are giving the worker, that makes it about 200,000 shillings. When you add it to our feeding cost, which we have seen that it's going to be 3 million every month, you are going to come up with about 3.2 million shillings that you are going to need to cater for these birds each and every month. Okay, we are leaving other things constant, things like the water. We are assuming that you're getting the water maybe from the well. Electricity, I will assume you are paying it separate. So some things I'm not going to look there, but guys, you have seen you're going to need about 3.2 million every month to feed these birds. Okay, now if you're keeping these birds, let's say for 6 months, and let's take that as the random figure. I know the first month you're going to need starter pellets, and then let's assume you're going to need that money for 6 months for these birds to start laying. Okay, and then you can start getting something. Now 6 months times 3.2 million, how much money is that going to be? Okay, 6 times the 3 million is already 1.8 million. Okay, now the other 200,000, if you multiply it by 6, that's 1.2 million. That makes it 19.2 million. Okay, now if you add in some other costs, you're going to need about 20 million to raise 500 birds. Okay, to take them up to, let's say, 6 or 7 months, because even at 6 months they are starting to lay, but they are not giving you the stable, okay, amount of eggs per day, because they are just starting to lay. And like I told you, when these chickens start laying, you're going to pick 2 eggs today, the other day you pick 5 eggs, the other day you'll not pick at all, then the other day you pick 7 eggs. They go on accumulating. So that means you don't have to plan for 6 months alone to start picking these eggs. Even taking these eggs for hatchery, you're going to need about 7 months. Okay, now if you need 20 million to raise 500 birds, okay, to that point of laying where you can take these eggs to start hatching them, versus the person who is going to sell these birds at 7 months, there is that time you reach a threshold and you're like, no, I need to give up this. Let me just sell off the birds and I do something else, or I will start afresh. Now, if you're selling these birds, remember you have invested more than 20 million, okay, in your 500 birds. Now, if you're selling these birds, how much money would you get? Okay, let's do just a simple mathematics. You have 500 birds. Now, these 500 birds, if you're selling them at wholesale, if they are giving you the highest amount of money, they are going to give you 30,000 per bird. Okay, others will give you 25. Some birds will be a little bit small, they are going to give you maybe 20,000. Okay, but let's take a random figure. Let's assume you have gotten someone who is ready to take them at 30,000 shillings per bird. Okay, now if you sell these birds, 500 of them, sell them at 30,000 shillings, you are going to come up with 15 million shillings. Now we are assuming you didn't lose any bird. We are assuming that all birds were of the same weight, which is impossible. Okay, but let's not look there. Now guys, we've just seen you need 20 million to feed and raise the 500 birds. Now if you decide to sell them for eating in the market and they are giving you, how much is that? 15 million shillings. When you subtract, what do you get? Do you get a profit or you get a loss? Okay, like I told you, this episode is not to scare you, but it's to motivate you, it's to get you set for what you need to get. So wherever those guys, most of you who are calling us, asking how many birds you should start with, how much money you need to raise those birds, when you come to me at Local Poultry Farm, when you give me that call on 0705 958 172, when you send us a WhatsApp message, when you inquire anything to do with the local poultry, we shall take you through. We shall tell you what you need. Okay, now by this we are equipping you with knowledge so that when you enter this business and you know that 500 birds, you'll need about 20 million to get them to start laying for you. That means if you need 1,000 birds, you are going to double. You're going to need about 40 million. Okay, now if you need about 250, even this money is going to come down. Okay, don't forget that money, I have just calculated you the feeding cost for 500 birds. We have not counted things like the constant things like putting up a structure, things like buying the drinkers, buying the different stages of feeders, okay, charcoal and what have you. We've not counted that. Okay, we are assuming that you already know that cost, the money for buying the chicks. So we are just calculating only and only the feeding money. So guys, it's very, very, very important when you are joining this business. Don't just take it as a bandwagon to just follow what others are doing, because Mr. X is doing the birds and he has, got a lot of money from them, and then tomorrow you set up a structure and then you need to have the same birds like he's having. Okay, sometimes it's good to have patience in these things. Sometimes it's good to start with what you can. So many people have come to me at Local Poultry Farm. So many people have asked for so many birds. Okay, can you book for me 700 birds? Can you book for me 500 birds? Can you book for me 1,000 birds? Of course, we cannot judge with our eyes. We shall go ahead and book for you those birds and supply them to you. Okay, but our dear customers, I want to tell you this, guys, you need to sit down and have the proper calculations. There are so many YouTube channels, there are so many people who are going to tell you otherwise, because they need you to buy from them. They need you to start. Yes, it's very good to start, but guys, don't start and again stop on the way. By stopping on the way, I have just told you, you are going to make losses. So many people have joined this business. So many people have hated this business forever. Okay, you call him and talk about chicken and he's like, please don't ever mention that word chicken when we are making a conversation. Why? Because these are the things they went through. They didn't get proper training. They didn't get proper knowledge or information regarding what they are going into. Someone takes you to his farm. You look at the chicken house. He has spent more than 30 million, 40 million constructing this fancy chicken structure. Okay, and then you have spent 30 million constructing the chicken structure, and then you have 10 million to invest in the birds. Now, what is this? Is the chicken house going to generate for you any money? Is it going to bring any income? Guys, let's concentrate more on things that bring money into your pockets rather than the structures, rather than things like fancy drinkers. You know, these drinkers you tie that they sell about 60, 70,000 shillings each. Okay, it's okay if you have the money, you can have them, but if you don't have the money, please put the money into the things that are going to bring back the money into your pockets. Okay, excuse me for that noise. I didn't use my microphone today. I thought it's a calm morning. I just wanted to hear the sounds of the birds and everything, but I guess I'll stop here for now. 0705 958 172 is our number. For all of you who are calling from abroad, those ones who are sending messages from not in Uganda, don't add the +256. That is the Ugandan country code. +256 +256 705 958 172. You'd have reached me here, Local Poultry Farm. Again and again, call us if you need farm training, if you need anything to do with the local chickens, anything to do with the local poultry, be it farm training, be it fertilized eggs, 1-day old chicks, 1-month-old chicks, those chickens at a point of lay, anything to do with the local poultry, we are waiting for you. Me, a Local Poultry Farm, I love you so much. Bye-bye.